I'm trying to think what I can get away with saying here.
We're off of FM,
Yeah.
so we don't have those FCC censors here. So
I think Matt Yglesias should sit the hell down.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
So we've got Connor Lewis on the Zoom. He's president of the Seven Mountains Central Labor Council in Pennsylvania, and he's going to talk to us about the election over yonder. Connor, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm always happy to be here.
So there was both a persuasion game happening within the labor movement to get union members to vote for Democrats, and there was also a utilization of union members to get other people out to vote, or to get other union members out to vote. You know, union members knocked on a lot of doors. I think Unite Here was very active in Pennsylvania in getting out the vote, as they were in Georgia, as they were in Nevada, right, with Culinary 226. And so what was the message from Democrats on the ballot that convinced labor to really go to the mat? And do you think that that was good that labor really went to the mat?
I think that for Fetterman, there was a lot of enthusiasm because it wasn't just a question of keeping Oz out. It was a question of electing a person that put unions and put organized labor front and center in his entire campaign. And you rarely see candidates put organized labor as central to their campaign as John Fetterman did. And it wasn't just in rhetoric. He was showing up and has, as lieutenant governor, consistently shown up on picket lines. He has done what he can do to support workers, even before he declared that he was going to be running for the U.S. Senate seat. And so I think that there was a lot, and I even saw it, just a small thing, like I had leftover, union members for Shapiro yard signs. I got rid of all of my Fetterman ones. Like those ones were going out quickly. And there's a level of enthusiasm that I think was because people really believed, and I think rightly, that Fetterman cares about organized labor, cares about protecting unions, cares about expanding the right to organize in a way that you just don't see from too many federal candidates or candidates at any level.
Well, now Connor, I don't want you to get ahead of your skis, though, because I read on Twitter that Pennsylvania actually confirms the power of the middle of the road, saying that this is from Matt Yglesias, saying Fetterman did great, but he also ran 9 points behind Josh Shapiro. Maybe that's because Shapiro was seen as more moderate than Fetterman, or maybe it's because Mastriano was seen as more extreme than Oz. But either way, Pennsylvania confirms the power of the middle of the road. So do you think that you're getting a bit ahead of your skis on this, on your analysis here?
I'm trying to think what I can get away with saying here.
we're off of FM,
yeah.
So we don't have those FCC censors here. So
all right. I think Matt Yglesias should sit the hell down, to be honest. I mean, I honestly, like, it's such an incredibly lazy take for so many reasons. I think that the biggest clear problem with the argument is that Oz had over $100 million spent in support of his candidacy, whether through attacks on John Fetterman or through, just media buys on his behalf. I mean, there was the airwaves have been saturated with things about Oz's candidacy, attacks on John Fetterman. I mean, it's been just omnipresent. Mastriano barely ran a campaign of being just a whack job fringe candidate. And I mean, he ended up spending, I think, at most $2 million on bought media, which is more what you would expect from a congressional campaign rather than a statewide gubernatorial campaign in a state as large as Pennsylvania. They are night and day, and comparing the two is just utterly ridiculous. The other point that is that we've already tested the appeal of the middle of the road in the Senate race here. Connor Lamb got his ass kicked. He got destroyed in the primary because that's not what people wanted. And he was the quintessential. I mean, Connor Lamb was basically created in a DCCC lab as the perfect centrist candidate, the perfect middle of the road. And that is what he ran on. He explicitly ran on, I am a more middle of the road candidate, and that's why you should elect me, or why you should vote for me to become the nominee, because I am the only one that can win Pennsylvania, because I am that middle of the road candidate. He couldn't win the primary, and then John Fetterman is going to end up winning by about 5 points.
Right.
So if anything, this is a confirmation of the fact that you do not need to run those nonsense middle of the road campaigns to win in Pennsylvania. And not only that, that is not what Pennsylvanians want. And so the armchair quarterbacking from people like Matt is just funny, because every single, election cycle, whether it's midterms, general elections, whatever, like if it's the presidentials, there's always a ton of people that have never set foot in Pennsylvania, or if they have never set foot outside of Philadelphia, that have big thoughts about what this means and what Pennsylvania's election results mean. And I think that they should probably do a little bit less talking and a little bit more listening.
Well, and I think that just and your tweet response to him, I think, put a couple of numbers to some of the general statements that you were making here, and he said, and actually one of the things that he said in this tweet was just false, as I understand it. He said, Yglesias said that Fetterman ran 9 points behind Shapiro, but you said that Fetterman's at 51% and Shapiro's at 56%. So he's only 5 points behind Shapiro, not 9. And then,
correct.
You're talking about Fetterman and Oz, the race there. You said in your tweet that they were matched in spending, where Mastriano was outspent 10 times. Like, that's got to have an impact, right? And then that federal races always tend to be a little bit closer in Pennsylvania. And I think that those are, that the case that you made and the additions of some of those facts in that tweet are like how it, why would you be trying to draw this conclusion unless, you just like really, really wanted to, like you're coming to the thing with this, with this idea, and you're going to make sure to take that idea out of the situation.
Right. I mean,
it's,
I was just going to say, let's be clear, someone like Matt Yglesias and his big brain are going to be pushing for that sort of, lesson learned, regardless of what the outcome was. Had Fetterman lost, it would have been proof that you needed a moderate candidate. Had Fetterman won by 20 points, it would have been proof that a moderate would have won by 25 points, right? Like that's, we're going to get that from that section of media. So that's why I think it is important to have folks on who can tell the real story there and like get into, okay, so what actually happened on the ground? And what was really motivating people? How did you really do it?
And, the thing that's, I think, particularly just unacknowledged, the important thing is that Fetterman won.
Right.
Like, at a certain point, you're just running up the tally because, of course, you want to run up the score. But, the important part is that he won. And even just for the sake of a hypothetical, if Connor Lamb would have won by 5 more points. Connor Lamb's politics also suck.
Right.
And so I would take a person whose politics are better that will still win over a person whose politics suck and will win by a little bit more. And that's what he just doesn't, because it's not about politics to Matt Yglesias in any real way. It's not about actual political values or ideology. It's just about this weird kind of technocratic, win
It's
by
sports.
the most, just whatever is most popular to the most amount of people, that can get the most votes. That's what we go with.
Right.
Yeah, I think they treat it like sports, and it's just not a whole lot different from how they look at baseball. It's just abstract numbers and popularity contests divorced from the actual substance, because that's what's important, right? Is what would this person deliver back to his constituents?
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.